Hi, this is Kelly from Sewful Creations, and thank you for joining me today on my channel where I'm going to be doing a tutorial on the Laura bag by Mekaposh. So the Laura bag is a laptop bag, and as you can see, it's really large. It holds my 13-inch laptop with no problem. It may hold up to a 15-inch, I'm not sure, but it definitely held the 13-inch, and it was still so much room for everything else. You can put binders in here, notebooks, you know, there's a divided slip pocket where you can put your cell phone, calculator, whatever you carry that you may need for work or school. There's a zipper pocket inside. And then of course the cushioned laptop sleeve. It has this rolled flap here, so it rolls over and is connected with this magnetic snaps, and you open that up, and so again, here you have it. You have your laptop sleeve here, and it has a tab that closes it. So I've used snaps on my tab, but you can use Velcro. And then on the other side, it's so big, I'm sorry, I know I'm trying so hard for you to be able to see it. And on this side you have your zipper pocket, and you have your divided slip pocket. So the laptop sleeve does not have a bottom to it. So if you have a larger laptop, and as long as it's not too wide, it will just sit down into the bottom of your bag, which I like. So if you don't have to worry about it being too tall and not being able to sit down into the bag. I like that it has these little corner tabs here. That's very popular in bags this style. You can put purse feet on the bottom. I did this rivet detail on the handles, on the connectors. That's totally optional. It's not a part of the pattern, but I just wanted to add a little more bling to mine. So you have these nice handles that you can make them longer, shorter, whatever your preference is. You could even add a crossbody strap to this. I know this bag is huge, but maybe a nice 1.5 inch, you know, strap if you want to carry it as a crossbody. You can definitely do that. So again, there's a lot to this bag. It's very structured, but yet it's not very difficult to put together. And if you do use the right materials, you can do this on a domestic machine. So without further ado, get all your supply, get your pattern, and get everything together if you want to sew along with me, making the Laura bag by Mekaposh. So to get started making our Laura bag by Mekaposh, you're going to start off with your 4 O connectors. So there's these 4 strips cut from your exterior, and I have mark the centers on all 4 and place a piece of double-sided tape down the middle. Okay, and you'll also need your 2 main panels cut from your contrasting exterior. So I'm using this red and black snake print from Big Z Fabric. Okay, so you're going to use your pattern piece to mark the placement for your connectors. So I've done that on both pieces. I know it's called an O connector because she does say to use O-rings, but I did not have O-rings. I had 3. Can you believe that? Where'd the 4th one go? But I couldn't find the 4th O-ring. So I decided to go with these rectangle rings, or these are more like, well, yeah, they're rectangle rings, not square. But as long as it's 1 inch, will fit your 1 inch connectors, then you're good. You don't have to use O-rings. So I'm using these 4 in gunmetal, and we're going to get ready to place our connectors. So, but first we have to get them prepped. So, excuse me. So we're going to take our connectors, we're going to pull the backing off the double-sided tape, And then we're going to fold the raw edge in to meet that center line. Okay, so we're going to do that on all 4. So I'm going to move these 2 pieces out of the way for a second. Okay, get that out of the way. Excuse me. Just double checking something for a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that pressed down. And those main panels, I have interfaced with Decaville Light, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So I didn't feel I needed to put any extra stabilizer on these connectors. But if you're using, like, I'm using all vinyl, but if you're using like cotton or maybe a canvas, you might want to also put some stabilizer on your connectors. Just to give, even if you put some Decaville Light on the main panel, but I feel like you want to make it as strong as possible. So, I mean, it wouldn't have done any harm to add some on these, but I just didn't feel like I needed it with this vinyl. This is just like this is some marine vinyl from Big Z Fabric, and it's not like super thick and plasticky like some marine vinyls. So I like it. Okay. So I'm gonna get these all pressed down and get them ready. Okay. Oh, here they go with the noise. The children, the children. Why do some mothers like sing when they really like want to like yell at you or something, huh? Is that what I do, Jazzy?
Yeah.
I start singing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes when you start singing, I get scared. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Remember how I used to wake y'all up in the morning?
Yeah.
Singing. And they'd be like, oh my God, Mom, please stop.
Yeah. Sometimes you just start crying in the pillow.
No.
I'm just kidding.
That's so cold.
No, I'm just kidding. Who likes getting up in the morning? Like,
yeah, but if you wake up with a song in your heart, and
nah.
you wake up feeling happy.
Nah.
No. No, it didn't work. Wow.
I'm just kidding, Mom. I was very happy.
All right, so we have those ready. So now we're going to mark. So we're going to mark 6 inches in on one side. So 6 inches. And we're on the wrong side. And do that for all of these. So okay, one more. 6 inches. Okay. And now we're going to take some more double-sided tape. If I know where I just set it. I always have to hide things from myself. Okay, I think I'm just going to use the 1/2 inch. Okay, and we can put a little past that 6 inch line. And then go all the way down. Now, let me just say this. There are 2 options for these connectors. So, there's an option 1, which your connectors will not go all of the way down into the base seam allowance. Okay, so that might be a preference for somebody who's using a domestic machine and they don't want that bulk in their seam allowance. So you don't have to go all the way down. So on the pattern piece, you're going to stop where it tells you to stop for option 1. And then these connectors will be cut a little longer, and it gets folded up on both ends so that you don't have any raw edges. So you would follow option 1. Option 2 is what I'm doing, and I'm going to my connectors are going to go all the way down to the edge, and they're going to get sewn into the base. So I won't have the raw edges won't show. So I don't have to fold this end up. I'm only going to fold this end that goes over the rings. So I'm going to grab my rings here. Okay. And now I'm going to place it on the end that has no double-sided tape at the top. And I'll peel this back a bit. So you don't have to don't take it all the way off. So just peel it back enough to place this right at that line, that 6-inch line that we drew, okay? And just make sure everything is lined up. Nice. There we go. And then you can just push the backing back down just for now. We're going to put this on our main panel. Okay, so that's one. And we'll do the others. Okay. Put that place down. All right. Okay, so now once you have those ready, then we're going to take one of our panels. So I have my main panel here. I want to show you I have it interfaced with Decaville Light 3/8 inch from the bottom, okay, and centered. So these placement lines. So we're going to center our connector on that placement line. So to make it easier, you can take your ruler and you can mark 1/2 inch on each side of that line. Okay. Or maybe just on one side, actually. You don't have to do both. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. That way I will know that it's centered. I'll do the same thing on this one. I'm just lining it up at the 1/2 inch, and I'm going to get it. Okay, so now I have that. So I know then that this is going to go up against that outer line, okay? My connector is going to go up against, and that way it will be centered. Okay, and then where on your pattern piece, where it stops here, that's where your ring should stop. So that's where we're going to put the ring, right there. On the pattern piece, it stops right there. Line stops here. So that's where our ring should, the bottom part here, where our ring gets connected. That's where we should line that up. So right there. Okay, so I'm going to get that lined up there, and it's going to look like that. Just like that. So now I'm going to just peel the backing off the double-sided tape. And I'm going to line that up. Make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, and it should go off the end a little bit, and we're going to trim that off later, so don't worry about that. Okay, and we just get that pressed down. Now, and then we're going to do another one the same way. get that rings right there. Okay. A little too far up on this one, sorry. A little too far up. There we go. Okay, so there. So I want to make sure they're even. They look even. Let me just make sure. I always like to double check, so I'm just going to make sure that they're the same distance from the top. So that one is, let's see, it's 2 7/8 at that point. And this one, see, this one's a little lower. So maybe I didn't put my marks in the right place. So let me see. I might have just put my marks in this one's 3 inches. This one's like 3 1/8 inch. So I am a little, so I'm gonna bring this one down because I think this one is, so that's why it's good to check. It's good to check and make sure, because you don't want it, that little bit can have it really off there. Okay. So I'm gonna place it there again. So always double check. Make sure. I think, yes, that looks better. That looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to set these over here. And then now we're going to top stitch. So that's what it's looking like. So we're going to top stitch. So we're going to go up one side, around, across, and then down the other side. Okay. And just making sure. So just want to make sure they look. Yeah. Okay. They look good to me. Okay. I'm using contrasting thread. Woo! Oh no. But Jazzy talked me into it. So we will see. So what I like to do is I like to just mark where I'm going to go across, because I like them to be pretty even. So I'm doing like 3/8 from the fold. And that should be about right. Okay. Okay, so starting down here at the bottom, we're going to get ready to go for it. Woo! I get nervous whenever I'm using contrasting thread.
Well, don't be nervous.
Don't be nervous.
You're not going to mess up.
Okay. That's easy for you to say. Do a little back stitch. And here we go. Trying to stay nice and straight. Okay, and when I get to where it's folded, I just want to make sure I push that in and keep that from sticking out. Okay. Make sure my ring is up and nice. Okay. Now I'm going to pivot and go across here. I'm going to put a little protection here. I'm just using this little piece of Peltex here just to make sure that I don't rip my vinyl. And I'll go right across here. hopefully that looks okay. Okay. And now I'll put it on the back end too as I go down on this side. Don't want to rip our vinyl. And again, I'm going to make sure that I don't have that little end poking out. So I just kind of push it in with the stiletto. Alrighty. Not bad. I think you were on to something. I guess Jazzy's like my creative consultant, huh? I like the contrasting stitches. Looks pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna do the other side the same way. That pushed under. All right, now I'm ready to pivot. I'm gonna grab my little piece of Peltex here and get that right under there. And here we go. Okay. And then back down. Woo! Alrighty. We got that done. Now I only have to do it 2 more times. Alright, how's that looking? Looking okay? Okay. And we can add some rivets too. I'm going to add some rivets. And I think instead of just doing like maybe just 1, I might do like 3 rivets. Or I might rivet it all the way down. I don't know. But let me think about that. But I'm going to come back after I sew the other 2 on. And then we'll get ready to sew the base on. Right, so I have decided to put the rivets all the way down. So, and I really like that because I love bling and I think it looks great. Now, mind you, the rivets are optional. You don't have to put rivets. You could put 1, you could put none. It's your choice. So, but like I said, I love a little extra bling. So, and I like the red snake, and I felt like it needed to just be a little bit edgy. So I wanted to put some rivets there. So these are all, the panels are ready and sewn on. So now we're just going to take our base, and you guys see how big, this is a big bag. So you can carry a nice size laptop in this bag. But we want to make sure that we stabilize it correctly so that our laptops are secure. Anyway, so if you're going to put purse feet, go ahead and put your purse feet on your base. I have interfaced with Decaville Heavy and I have my purse feet on, and I put duct tape over the prongs. So there's placement, there's the measurements for the placement of the purse feet in the pattern. And so now we're going to get ready to sew these onto sew the base onto our main panels. So starting with one of our main panels in our base, we're going to put that right sides together, matching up the straight edges, and we're going to sew that on at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, and we remember we drew that on here at the bottom. That's why we left the interfacing out of the seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and get that clipped on. And if you chose option 1 for your connectors, then you won't have the additional bulk in the base here like I do, because I've chosen to sew my connectors into my base. And so, like I said, that's probably a better option if you're sewing on a domestic machine. Okay, so once we get that clipped on, we're going to sew across at 1/4 inch. 3/8 of an inch. Okay. I probably should have put my purse feet on after, and I think that's what she does say. I jumped out there and had my purse feet on already, because they're a little big, but I can still sew around them. But if you have not put your purse feet on, then you may want to wait, because now I have this big hump here where my purse feet are. See, this is why, I caught myself reading through the pattern, and then sometimes when I'm doing the video, and I just totally forget what I read. So, and as I'm prepping, I just start to just go, with what I'm used to doing, and forgetting that maybe there's a reason why we're waiting. But it's just this one right on the end. So I'm just going to try to sew around it like I did over there. I don't want to have to take it off and put it back on. But if if I had to, I have to. But I think I'm okay just getting around it. So just remember that from what you see me doing, it's best to go ahead and put your purse feet on after you sew your base on. Okay. So once we have that, we're going to go ahead. We're going to have our seam allowance. And I really think like the problem with that's the issue. That's the issue there. I won't leave myself enough room to top stitch. So I am going to have to remove my purse feet. Not the one from the center, but the ones, because my purse feet are so big that I'm not going to have enough room to top stitch around. So now bring your base, your seam allowance towards your base, and we're going to top stitch. And this, like I said, this is, look at how big. Oh my gosh, this bag is so big. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in it when I'm done. No, not that big. Making sure my seam allowance is pushed down. Okay. Ready. Now we'll repeat on the other side. So you grab your other panel, right sides together. You're going to line it up and clip it in place. this on at 3/8. Get that. Sewn all the way across. Okay. Alrighty. And now we're going to top stitch on the other side. Woo, this is big. I'm just gonna roll this up a little. I know you see how big this is. Ooh. Somebody go to work with this to be a boss lady boy for sure. Okay. Okay.
Save it for me in the future when I'm a boss.
When you're a boss. Okay, so now I can go ahead and I can put my purse feet back on. And so that's, look at how big. This is huge. So huge. Anyway, so now we're going to make a mark all the way around, 1 inch all the way around. So just take your ruler and we're just going to do 1 inch. And then we're going to fold the raw edges into that inch. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mark out the 1 inch all the way around, and I'm going to apply some glue, let it sit for a few minutes. I'm just going to use my favorite Weldwood, the Weldwood contact cement. That's what I'm going to use. So again, if you don't like glue and you don't like, you know, contact cement, then just go ahead and apply some double-sided tape, and you can do it that way. So like I said, but I have to let my glue sit for a few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mark all the way around at the 1 inch, apply my glue, and then we'll come back and fold the raw edges in together. Alrighty, so I have the glue applied to that 1 inch border around the edge of our exterior. So now we just need to fold in the raw edges. And so I'm just going to pick a place to start on this, and hopefully some of these thicker parts will stick down. And I'm just going to go all the way around. So I'm folding it up to the line. I'm going to add some clips to hold down some of these thicker parts, and that'll also help to kind of compress it down too. Okay, so as we get to the corners, I'm not going to press all the way down to the corner just yet. So I'm going to start over here on this straight part and bring that down. And then what I'll do is make sure we can see this really good, Jazzy, because I want them to see here. So we're bringing this corner, the corner together. So we're going to push this together right into the corner, just like that. And we'll have a point there. Okay, and we'll have a point, and just kind of just squeeze that and press it down really good. And we're going to trim this part off. So that's what we do with the corners. Okay. So we're just going around. And that weldwood cement works really well. So this is a really big piece, I'm telling you. This bag is going to be monstrous. So now again, I'm to this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here, and I'll bring that point right into the corner and just press that. And then we just continue on. And like I said before, if you don't like the glue, you can use double-sided tape as well. Just make sure you use one that's got a good hold, pretty strong, or else it won't stay. It won't stay as well. So here I'm on this seam. Could also, maybe these little clamps will work even better on those seams. We'll see. Okay. So I'm going to keep working my way around. Okay. And I have another seam here where we applied the base, and we just keep going. Okay. When I first started doing bags like this, I thought, oh gosh, I really don't want to have to glue anything, you know, because I had never really dealt with glue that way. But now it's not even an issue for me. I really don't mind it at all. Okay. Once you get used to the process, it's not too bad. All right, so we're almost all the way around. And now to the last corner here. I'm gonna bring that together. Okay. I hear the dog tap dancing out there. That's what I call it, tap. He sounds like he's tap dancing away on the floor. Okay. Alrighty. So we got them all our, and so we have no more raw edges. So now we just need to trim these off. So get your scissors, and what I do is I'm just going to just lay it so I get it right there, right in the, just lay it real flat against the bag and just trim that right off. Okay. And so your corner comes together nicely. And I like to put a little clip or something on there just to hold it in place. And we'll do this one. Okay. Make sure you clip it close, but not. Okay, so I'm going to do that one. Turn it around and do the other two. And the last one. Alrighty. So there we go. So now our exterior is all ready except for our side panels, of course. So I'm going to go ahead, grab my side panels, and we're going to come back and we're going to get our side panels sewn and get ready to start attaching them to our exterior. So I'm going to clean up some of this and I'll be back with the side panels. So I'm back with the side panels and I've already prepared them similar to what I did with the exterior. So instead of 1 inch, a 1 inch line all around, we did 3/4 inch line, and we're folding the raw edges into that 3/4 inch line. And as you can see, it's also interfaced with some Decoville light. So now we're just going to take these, so these darts here on the bottom corners, we're going to fold that in. So we're going to fold in where the folded edges meet like that. So just like that. And we're going to sew across here at 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm just going to put a clip there and then we'll fold this in. So just make sure that folded edge is matched up really well. And put a clip there, and we're just going to sew across there. I almost thought, should I change to black thread here? But I was like, well, let's see how it goes. Alrighty, so now let me be very careful going back over this and sew it again. Yes, much better. Much better. Okay. And now do this side here. Okay, so now your darts should be looking like this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to just trim this down to about 1/4 inch. So I just like to, well, I like to kind of trim it at a little angle here. So like that. And then I snip in here, but don't snip your seam. So then that way you can open this up. So you can open this up like that. So we're going to open that just like that. Okay. So okay. This. Okay. So we're going to open up our seam here. Best we can here. And I'm just going to put a clip there just to kind of hold it. Just a little clip there. Just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Trying to keep those. Let me clip it up over here so they don't keep shifting. Okay, so there we go. And this one. Okay, so the darts are sewn. So now I'm just going to trim this one down. And snip there. And we're trimming it down. And giving it a snip there. Okay. And then open up the seam allowance. Okay. Put a clip there. And one there. Okay. So now we're going to mark the centers here of the panel, right here at the bottom. So I just going to match up where I sewed the darts together, match those seams up just like that. And then we're just going to use the chalk to mark the center. So we have our center mark there. We'll do the same thing with this one. So bring the seam together, the dart seams together, give it a little pinch, and mark your center. So we have the centers marked there. And then on our exterior, let's grab our big exterior. I can take these clips out now. Okay, so I'm going to remove all these clips. Okay. And we're going to mark the centers here on our base as well. So just bring the seam together here, right here on our base. And again, we're going to, so make sure you use something that can be removed easily. So there's the center there. And then we'll mark the center on this side. Just matching it up. Okay. So now once we have our centers matched, we can get ready to attach our side panels. So we're going to take one of our side panels and we're going to match up the centers and clip it in place. Okay, so start putting a couple of clips. And then we're going to bring the tops together here, right in here, match up the corners. Those little points, make sure they're matched up well. And clip that. And these are wrong sides together. So after I get a couple of clips on this side, then I'm going to bring this side up and I'm going to match these corners. Make sure they're matched up really well. Okay. And now we can just start clipping it all together. And then we're going to top stitch it all together with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we're just going and clipping around. Okay, and when we get to the point of our dart, make sure that it's open, the seam is open to both sides. And we're going to get that tucked in really well. If you need to, you can use some pliers like I use here to just make sure it's nice and flat in place. I give it a good little squeeze there. Okay. Get your clip on. Make sure I got that lined up properly. Doesn't look like I do. Let me move it over just a little bit. Okay. There we go. And now continue. It should fit just right. Okay, and just kind of ease wherever you need to. There we go. So we have that side in. Jazzy's bumping the camera a little bit. Did she fall asleep?
No, I was moving my leg.
Okay. So now again, I'm just going to give it a little squeeze here. Open that up. Get that in there. And give it a good clip. Right there. And just keep it going. So we don't want that side panel to come up above the exterior. It should be like just right aside, maybe a tiny bit, like less than 1/16 of it. Okay, sorry, let me get this. Oh, sorry, this is a big bag, so I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting it maneuvered properly. Okay, so there we go. There we go. Okay, almost done clipping. There we go. Alrighty. So that's what it's going to look like. That's what it's going to look like on the side. Okay. So now we're just going to sew. So round and back up to the top. And we're doing it at 1/8 of an inch. We are sewing from the side panel side up. So remember, so your stitches will be on, your bobbin stitch will be on the bottom, on the exterior. So make sure your tension's good and right. Give it a good prayer. Woo, everything's good. And we're going to give it a go here. And, oh, I need to switch back to my red thread, right? Because I do want to use the red top stitching. So quickly, I'm going to go back. Switch back to the red. That's the only thing sometimes about when you're using a contrasting thread. Sometimes you got to go back and forth. Unless you got another machine set up just for the top stitching, which,
Mommy,
yes.
what would happen if you had a different color bobbin than your thread?
I mean, you can do that too, but I'd rather have them matching, because sometimes, especially when you're using like a dark color like black, sometimes that color just still wants to pop through, and your stitches just don't look as good to me. But it might be just that my tension's not perfect either. But I'd rather not bother with that. I'd rather not get all up into that.
If it ain't broke them.
That's right, yep. All right. Okay. But you for sure can have a different color in your bobbin if you want. Okay, so there we go. We all set now. Okay, so let's give this a go. And the fact that I'm using contrasting thread is just really making this even more stressful. Okay, so I'm gonna start here and get my, make sure I got it lined up where I want it. Drop my needle down, and I'm going to give it a couple of back stitches. Go forward and then give it a couple of back stitches here. Okay, and now we're off to the races. Here we go. This is going to show off every little crooked stitch. That's the beauty of it.
At least people know that your bags aren't mass produced.
Yeah, they sure can see that. Well, some of those mass-produced bags where the quality is like, okay, I'll take a handcrafted bag over one of those any day. Okay, so now we're getting over to this seam where we have our dart. So it's a little thicker right there. So I just want to take my time. I got my pliers holding things down. Okay. Just turn the bag. Okay. Just taking my time. Hoping it looks okay. Okay. So we just have to manipulate this and get it turned. Okay, make sure everything is staying straight. Go. And we're getting around to another one of these darts here. So we just want to make sure everything is in place. Ooh, gotta really hold this bag down. This is so big. Just take your time, take your time. Okay. All right, so we got over the dart. Now we're going back up. You really have to take your time on these parts. You do not want to mess up here. So I'm just going kind of slow and taking my time. Okay. Get this away. Almost to the top. Almost. Getting to the top. Back stitch. And we're done with that side. Woo! Alrighty, and then we can see what it looks like. Be sure, so let me trim these threads. And we'll give it a little look-see. So it's real floppy now because we don't have a stabilizer in. But you can see what it's starting to look like. All right. That's not bad. It could have looked a little, but I guess. There. So that doesn't look too bad, right? Could have been a little tiny bit straighter under the bottom, but you know, it looks good. So I won't have you go through watching me do the other side, but so I'm going to go ahead and I'll put the other side on, and then we'll get ready to put our stabilizer on our exterior. And then then after that, we'll be ready to go to our lining. So I'll be back. Woo! Look at that with the sides on. You can't even put the whole back. Yeah. So now we're ready for the stabilizer. So let me move this over here so we can see the stabilizer. So I'm using Peltex, and we have these. These markings here are what's important. So I'll just crease those. That's where the base is. So I just crease those, and then this is going to get dropped right inside. Just like so, we're going to get it in there, get it all pushed down. So it should fit in there in place. So if you push the sides out some, then you can get the corners of the base in. Good. So we're going to push those sides out for right now. So we make sure we get our base in and situated properly. So I just get my hand down in there, push down, make sure it's pushed all the way down and into the sides, so it should look like this. Is that good, Jazzy? Am I in the shot there? Okay. And now we just have to glue this in. Okay, so you can spray base it in, you spray adhesive, or you can just use the glue, the contact cement. So I am going to use some contact cement to get this all glued down in place, and then we'll be able to come back and do our lining. So the stabilizer should sit just below where we fold that drop in down. It should be below that line. So make sure that it's where it's supposed to be on both sides, and get that glued in. And you see it get, and then once we get it glued in, and then we push our corners back in on our side panels, then you'll see that the structure is much, much better now that we have, once we have that stabilizer glued in place. So let me get it all glued in, come back to, we're gonna do our flap and then start our lining. Okay, so I have my stabilizer glued into my exterior and it's drying. So now we're going to do the flap. So you should have 2 flap pieces. I've cut both of mine from this from the black vinyl, and so one will be like the lining, the lining side, and one will be the exterior. So on the one that you, whatever one, if you choose 2 different ones for your flap, the one that you chose for the lining, you're going to put 2 of your male magnetic snap pieces on. So get your markings from the pattern piece, and I've already marked. I've already put my slits for my my snaps. I have a couple of pieces of Peltex that I'm going to put on the back for extra stability. And so I just need to go ahead and pop them in, and then I will put some duct tape on. So I'm going to go ahead, I put it on, put the Peltex, then I'm going to add the washer, and then I'm going to fold those prongs into the center. And get it nice and tight there. Okay. And then the next one here. Okay. Let me just put some duct tape over that. Oops. Oops, 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 oops. I don't want that big piece anyway. Just want to cover that up like that. Okay. So now we're going to put them right sides together, and we're going to sew around, not the straight edge, but around these 3 sides at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And let me see. Once again, I think I want to switch to my black thread. I should have done that already, but I didn't. So I don't want it. So I'm going to just switch to my black thread again, if you don't mind. Huh?
I do in fact mind.
You do mind, Jazzy?
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh. Well, Jazzy, I think you're gonna have to get over it. You're gonna have to get over it. I should have set up one of these other machines. It's just so, I don't use them too often. They're just for show, I guess, at this point, huh?
The Juki be working overtime, guys.
I got 3 Jukis in here and I only use this one.
Send help, guys.
This is my favorite though.
Does it favor you the same way?
Not always.
That's because you got it working overtime.
Always. It doesn't always like me. It's rather temperamental. It's just like one of my children.
Uh-oh. Ain't saying no names. No, I'm saying.
Okay.
It's not me, guys.
All right. I'm not saying no names either. Jazzy.
It's not me.
Okay, so here we go. Just going around 1/4 inch. I broke my thread because I pulled before. That's okay. Okay, so now we're going to, I'm just going to trim these curves with my pinking shears. So just right around these curves, not too close. Just so we have a smoother curve here. Okay, just like that. And then we're just going to turn this out ever so carefully. Push out those corners. Okay. Then I'm going to take this little chopstick and I'm just going to push out these seams. So I'm just running it along the seams, gently pushing out the seams. Smoothing them out. Let me see. Smoothing out the seams. And then making sure the corners are nice and round. Okay, so just take your time and work those seams till they look as good as you like. Okay, so that's good. Now I'm going to grab the stabilizer. So my stabilizer I'm using is Decaville Heavy. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that in. And so this is going to be the outside. So I'm putting the adhesive part on the outside. And I want to go up under the seam allowance. So it just slides right in. We're going to get that in place. Nice and snug. And then we're going to clip this down and top stitch. 1/8 of an inch. So let me make sure it's in that seam nice and tight. I like to start here at the bottom and start clipping so it doesn't get to sliding. Make sure it's under that seam allowance. Or on top of the seam allowance from the front, under the seam allowance from the back. Make sure it's nice and smooth. And get the sides clipped. See, you want to make sure it's on top of the seam allowance inside. Okay. There we go. And I can adjust it a little and smooth this out. Just make sure that it doesn't have any bubbles. So just smooth it out by adjusting the clips a little like that, making sure everything is smooth. Okay, so now I'll be back. I'm going to go ahead and change out my thread again to the red, and then grab the lining pieces that we're going to start, because we're going to get ready to do our zipper pocket and our slip pocket on our lining. And so I'll be back, but I will show you the top stitching here. I just want to go ahead. I don't want you to keep having to see me change out my thread. This is bothering Jazzy.
It's not bothering me.
All right, so we're ready to top stitch our flap. I'm going to start here on this straight raw edge, and I'll just back stitch a little and then go. And just going to go around. Okay, go back around here. Okay, so now our flap is top stitched. Looking good. Okay, so it's all done there. So now we're just going to put this aside and we're going to get our lining pieces here for our zipper pocket. So we have our overlay, and I already have the window cut out and double-sided tape on the back. And then we're going to get our main lining piece. Okay. And you're going to cut this according to the measurements in the pattern here. And I am using this ripstop. I'm going to iron it later, but right now it's okay. But this is ripstop. It's a, I think it's about 8 ounces. So it's durable, but not super thick. And this comes from Fabric Wholesale Direct. I like it sometimes instead of the waterproof canvas. But I was out of the black. I had black, I just didn't have enough. So I decided to use the ripstop. Okay. So we're going to place our zipper overlay about 1. So we're going to do 1 3/4 down, 1 3/4 down and centered. So get that. I'm just going to crease this a little here so I know where my center is. Take the backing off the double-sided tape, and we're going to get that placed right there. Right there. Okay. And then I'm just going to line this up here because our window is a 1/2 inch. I just want to make sure it stays nice and straight. Take the backing off the double-sided tape and make sure I place this at the 1/2 inch, right at the 1/2 inch, so it stays straight. Okay. So now I have my overlay in place. And I also will need my zipper pocket pieces. I just had them. Oh, here they are. I knew I just had them. Okay, so I have my zipper pocket pieces. They're also cut from the ripstop. And then you will need your zipper tape and a zipper pull. Okay, so I'm using this gunmetal zipper tape, and we're just going to make sure that I just cut it a little bit wider than my zipper pocket. The measurement for the zippers is in the pattern. Okay, and I'm going to grab my zipper pull. So I'm using a zipper pull here. Okay. And before I sew my overlay, I'm just going to go ahead and sew up my zipper pocket. So I'm going to lay my zipper wrong side down on top of the right side of my zipper pocket piece. Remember, if you don't know how to do a zipper with overlay, watch my video. I have a video on this very topic. Okay. You can find the link in the description. Okay, so I'm just sewing this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, I'm just gonna, since the ripstop is it's thinner, I'm not going to top stitch like I usually do. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some double-sided tape right above the stitches here. Just like that. And peel that backing off. And then I'm just going to press that down. Okay, so it holds it in place. Okay. Let me move this out of the way for a second. Okay, so now that looks like that. And now I'm going to lay the other end of the zipper wrong side down on the other zipper pocket piece, which is right side up. And we're going to line that up, matching up the edges. And we're going to sew this side at a 1/4 inch. Do the same thing. And again, I'm going to put the double-sided tape on the back, right above the stitch line. And we're going to fold that back and give it a good little press to hold it in place. Okay. So now we have the wrong sides of our zipper pocket pieces and the right side of our zipper. We can add some double-sided tape here. Okay. Try to keep it away from the sides. Right here. And then we can add our zipper pull. So I'm just going to give these ends a little burn here, so these little frayed ends are not in the way. And we're going to add our zipper pull. Just make sure it's nice and even. And get it on. There we go. Okay, so now our zipper pocket is prepared. Now we can go back to the overlay. And we're going to sew around the perimeter of the overlay. 1/8 of an inch, we're going to top stitch. Leaving long tails. Okay, pull the tail to the back, and so grab that piece And then we're going to finish up. Okay. Now we'll tie these threads off to the back. As soon as I find the right one. But that's not the right one.
Oh.
Alrighty. Here we go. I lost sight of my tail there. Okay, there we go. There. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. And we'll get that going. So what you want to watch tonight, Jazzy?
Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
Gidget Goes Hawaiian. Oh my goodness. So I know some people probably out there like, what is Gidget Goes Hawaiian? And my mother had me watching all the little Gidget movies. Now I got my girls watching Gidget movies, and our favorite Gidget movie is Gidget Goes Hawaiian.
It's the best one.
Yes. It's been a while since we watched it. I love musicals.
Mm-hmm.
But the old musicals, you know?
It's just so much better.
Yeah, they're so much better. So I'm just cutting the fabric away from the zipper window so that we can place our pocket. Again, you can see all this and what I'm doing here on my zipper with overlay video. Okay, so now we have our zipper window exposed. Now we can go back, grab our pocket. Okay, and I want my zipper going, closing to the left. So that's how I'm going to place it here. Just get my zipper pulled straight. And I'm going to put the overlay right on top. Make sure it's centered. Get it over there. That way. And get it centered there. I think that's good. Right there. Okay, so we can remove the backing from the double-sided tape on our zipper here. One piece, and then get it centered in the window. And press that side down. Okay, and then flip this over and remove the backing on the other side. And then get that pressed in place. Make sure your zipper pull is out of the way. And make sure it's evenly placed to your satisfaction. Okay. And so now it should be looking like this. And now with the two pieces open, so they should be open on the back, we're going to sew around the zipper window. So we're going to top stitch around the zipper window. And again, we're going to leave long tails. Coming around, I'm going to pull my tail to the back here, get it out the way. And finish my top stitching. Okay, there we go. Turn that over. Pull the other tail to the back and tie those off. Okay, so now we're going to take the one at the top, the piece at the top, and bring it down to the bottom here. We'll trim off that excess off the bottom, so we have a little excess there. We're going to trim that off, and then we're just going to close our pocket up. Okay, so I'm just going to trim this off. I'm going to sew down the sides around the bottom and close up the pocket. So I'm doing about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. All right, so our zipper pocket is done. Okay. The zipper pocket's done. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab the pieces. I believe what we're going to do next is the slip pocket with trim. So I'm going to get those pieces ready, and then we'll come back and get that done. Okay, so I have my slip pocket piece here. So this is the long way. So we're going to fold the two long edges, so wrong sides together. We're going to join, match up the long edges here, and we're going to just sew around. We're going to baste around the whole thing. So these 3 raw edges we're going to baste around. So you can clip it if you want, and I think I want, because this is kind of slippery, so let me just add a couple of clips here just to hold it in place. So I'm just going to start over here. And then we have our slip pocket trim. I put double-sided tape on both sides. I have the center line marked. Okay, so that's all ready to go. So I just need to just base these sides and the top down. Oops. Okay, so now once we have that done, now we can take our slip pocket trim and we can remove one side. Other side. And we're just going to put that on there. They're about the same length. I should have cut mine a little bit longer, but I think they're the exact same length. Or I should say width. This one. So I'm just going to get this on here. Darn. Thank you, Jazz. Okay. And then we're going to fold the other edge down. Okay. To meet. I like to fold both the sides down. And then I like to take my ruler. So I'm going to take this long ruler here. And then I like to line it up like that. And then I know I'm getting a nice straight line here. Because sometimes eyeballing it is just not work for me. Okay, so just like that. Now we're just going to top stitch right along the bottom.
You should let me top stitch it.
Yes.
It'd be real straight.
Oh, I know. It would be.
Straight as a curved line, girl.
You still owe me a bag, Jazzy.
I'll do it. I'm on summer break now.
Okay. Okay, so we have that top stitched. Yes.
I'll do a bag with 0 sewing experience to show how good you're teaching me.
Oh boy, don't put no pressure on me, Jasmine. Oh man. I don't know about that. Okay. I like your vote of confidence. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to find the center of my slip pocket here. I'm just going to fold it, get a little crease in there. Because we're going to be stitching down this center. So I'm just using my chalk to mark that center there.
Well, the chalk is showing up real good on the page.
Oh yeah. Okay. And then here's the thing where, okay. So the instructions say to, we're going to place it onto our lining. I got this piece. Right below our zipper pocket, 5 inches down from the top, okay? So, where did I just put my ruler here? I'm just always misplacing stuff. Okay, so 5 inches is centered from the top. So it would go like this here, okay? And then we would stitch down the center, and then we're going to bring these over. So we're going to mark 3/4 inches from each side, and then bring these over and then stitch around. Okay, so here's the thing. I think with this ripstop, it would work better if I top stitch those creases in place before I go ahead and attach it to my lining. So I'm going to mark 3/4 inch from the center on both sides. Okay. Now this part is a little bit different than the pattern, but I'm doing this because of the materials that I'm using. You might want to do it, you can do this way if you want, or just follow the pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crease it right there on that 3/4 inch mark. Okay, put some clips there. And just, it's still going to be the same results. It's just I'm going to top stitch these creases in place. Okay. So then that way they will be nice and crisp and stay together when we go to sew the pocket on. So on this side, so this is going to be the side. This side comes over to the middle. So this is going to be the right side. So I want to top stitch on this side. And on this one, this is going to come over and this is going to be the right side. So I want to top stitch. So I'm going to be top stitching it from this side. I don't have to clip this side just yet. Just let me move those clips out the way. So I'm just going to top stitch right along the crease. Okay. So at 1/8 of an inch, well, or even maybe a little less. I want to get pretty close to the crease line. And give it a little back stitch. Okay. There we go. Give that a little singe there. Okay. So this is what I'm doing. And then now I have this side. And I'm going to do this side here. Again, this is just what I'm doing. You don't necessarily have to do this, but so much right there. Okay, so there we go. So now I have, so you see how it gives it a nice crisp edge to that. So now I can take my lining. Make sure you push your zipper pocket up out of the way because we don't want to sew through our zipper pocket. And we're going to go to that. So 5 inches, 5 inches. Get it in place there. Okay. that's about where we want to be. I'm going to take my clips and I'm going to clip it down. Try not to move it. And we're going to stitch right down the middle first. Keep that zipper pocket up and out of the way. And I'm going to start in at an angle up here at the top. Come in like a V. Back stitch. Okay. And then the other way, like a V. And then I'm going to come down the middle. Okay, so you'll be able to see better what I did from the back. So I made a little V. So that gives it a little more security up there at the top. Okay, so on this, right in there, the stitches are at a V right there. So it makes it a little sturdier right there at that weak point. Okay, now I can bring these ends here. I can bring them over. Bring this into the middle, just like that. Those thread hanging here. Okay. So make sure these are meeting up at the middle. Try to match that up with the side seam. So clipping, I'm gonna clip these raw edges to the side, both sides here. And then we're going to, I'm going to sew around the 3 sides. So if it's a little more slack, I might have to trim a little bit off. That's okay. The important part is that this part meets up in the middle. Okay, so if it's looking like I need to trim a little off over here, then that's what I'll do. It's not a big deal. Because I might have cut my pocket a little off, or it might be because of the way I decided to do mine. It's just a little bit long, just a tiny little bit longer. And on one side. So I just want to make sure I get this together. Okay. Get this clipped. Okay. So now I'm going to make sure that stays straight and together like that. Okay. I can even take I'm going to take a little piece of duct tape just to hold it down in place. Just to make sure, because this ripstop is really slippery. And I'm just going to hold that down just like that. And I'm just going to sew around. So it's just a little bit I'm going to have to trim off. But that's okay. So now I'm just going to trim it around. top stitch around. I hope I'm catching the side. I'll find out. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure this is neater. This is the bottom of my slip pocket. Now I have to move this duct tape. Make sure these coming together at the bottom. And I'm going to give it a little back stitch over that point. And then keep sewing across. Okay. Okay, and make sure these come together good. Yeah, this side was good. I probably just cut a little bit too long on the other side. Okay, because I'm cutting, there's no pattern piece for the slip pocket, so if your measurements aren't accurate when you're cutting, then it could be a little off, and I know mine probably weren't, so yeah. So anyway, I think I did catch the side as much as, so I just got a little tiny bit over. I'm just going to trim that off. And trim that down. Okay. And now my zipper pockets back down. And so that is what my pocket's looking like, my slip pocket. And if you want, you can even put a little rivet right there in the center, which I may. Do I even really need it though? Nah. Yeah, I don't think so. That's why I did that V. So it should be pretty secure there. Okay. And it's a nice roomy pocket. Okay. So now we're going to get ready to do our laptop sleeve. So again, I'm going to grab those pieces for the tab for the laptop sleeve, the compartment tab, and all the pieces that we need. And then we'll come back to do that. Looking good. Okay, so now we're ready to do our laptop sleeve. So we have our laptop piece cut. I have mine cut from the ripstop. And what I did was, so I marked what side was the longer side and what side, so I know, because it's hard to tell just by looking at it. So this is the shorter side. On the shorter end, you're going to mark a 1/2 inch from each side, and then I placed some double-sided tape because we're going to fold these raw edges into that to that line. I've marked the center as well, both ways, because we're going to place some foam. So I have my piece of foam here, and I've also marked the center on my foam. I have some double-sided tape on the back. Excuse me. So I'm going to remove the backing from the double-sided tape. Okay. And I'm just going to line the center up. I'm going to place it right at that center line and mark the center there. So it will line up just like that. Okay, so let me get a little bit closer there to that, on that line. Okay, so just like that. Okay, and then, like I said, we're going to fold those raw edges in, but let's just come back to this. So this is the compartment closure tab. So you cut 2 pieces. So you have your pattern piece here, But don't cut this out like this just yet. You're going to cut according to the instructions in the pattern. Cut 2 pieces, the sizes given, and then I apply some glue on the back of each of these pieces. And on mine, since my vinyl's a little thin, I put a piece of Decaville Light. That's not in the pattern. That's just if you think your vinyl or whatever material you've chosen, if you think it needs a little extra stabilizer, go ahead and do that. So now I'm just going to glue these 2 pieces together. So I already had the glue set and it's ready to adhere. So I'm just going to glue these 2 pieces together. Then I'm going to center my closure piece on top, just like this. And you can either draw it out or we can just use the rotary blade and just cut this along. So I'm just going to trace it out, and I'm just making sure that I'm on the part with the stabilizer. So I'm just going to trace mine out. Is this one working? Sometimes I have a million of these things. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I think this one's okay. So I'm just tracing around. Okay. Do it however you want to do it. Okay. So once I get that traced out, then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it out. So I'm just using my scissors to cut it out. Okay. Okay, so just like that. So now I have a nice even piece, and if I want, I can go ahead and I can edge coat this piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch. I'm just going to top stitch around. And then I think I am going to apply some edge coat to mine. So let me just double check and make sure there's no reason why I can't decide to. No. So I am supposed to top stitch. Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we're just going to top stitch. And we only have to top stitch around 3 sides because one side is going to be sewn into the seam allowance. Okay. So I'm just going to go around. Okay, so now I have that. So now that's top stitch. Now you can use Velcro according to the pattern, or you can use a snap. And I've decided that I'm going to use a snap. Okay, so I'm going to measure from the bottom 3/4 inch. and center. And I'll just make a little mark right there. So I think that's the center. Okay, yeah. So about right there. So I have my mark there. And I can just punch a hole right where that mark is. And I'm just going to put a snap. Okay. I'm going to add a snap. Right. And so I need to use, so I'm just using these little snaps here. Okay. And I'm going to put the female portion on this here. Okay. So then my snap tab will look, my closure tab will look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and secure my snap. And, well, I can do that now, I guess. I don't have to wait. So I have this little piece here, and I set that on top. And then I have this piece that goes right there in the center. And we're just going to give it a couple of whacks with the hammer. Just a solid whack. 1, 2. Okay. And that should be good. It should be in place. Okay. So now, so that's one part there. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to put some edge coating on these edges there before I attach it. Okay, but we'll move on with the laptop sleeve. So we're going to fold these raw edges in to that line, to that 1/2 inch line. Okay. Okay, so we don't have any raw edges at the top and bottom. Okay. And the same on this side. Let's fold that over. Okay. Now we're going to bring that up and we're going to match those folded edges and we're going to clip them together. Okay, matching up all the sides. And we're going to baste around at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, let's make sure. Okay. So starting on this side, and I might need to change, I'm going to change my bobbin real quick because it's getting really low. Okay. And now I'm just going to baste around the sides, and we're going to top stitch across that folded edge. Make sure it's lined up. This ripstop is a little slippery, so I gotta keep it, hold it in place. And down the side. Okay. So now we're basically going to quilt this. Okay. So we're going to take our ruler and we're going to make a mark. Going to draw a line 2 inches in from the side and this side. Now, you can get creative and you can quilt this any way you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to follow the pattern. Okay, and I think this is, the center is, because this, yeah, so it's going to be 8 inches. 8 inches in. Okay, so yeah, right there. This is an 8-inch ruler, so 8 inches. And so 1 in the center. Okay. So this is how the pattern. So we're going to stitch down each of these lines. And again, like I said, you can do some diagonal. You can get very creative with your quilting if you want to. Okay. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. And I'm just going to keep it real simple to follow the pattern. And we'll do the center. And the last side here. Okay. Okay. All right. So now your laptop sleeve is quilted. So it's a nice little cushion for your laptop. So I'm going to go ahead, apply that edge coat to my closure tab, and then we will be right back to continue making our Laura bag. Okay, so one thing I want to say is on the laptop sleeve, I didn't sew across the bottom before, so I went back and I top stitched the bottom and I added the other part of my snap. So if you don't like having this little part on the back, you can put this part of the snap on before you sew the laptop sleeve together. But I wasn't concerned with this because it's not going to really, it's not going to show from the front. It's going to be inside the laptop sleeve. So now we are marking 2.5 inches down from the other side of our lining. And this is where we're going to center our laptop sleeve on. So I'm just going to line it up. And it's going to extend past the sides. And that's what we want because we're going to bring it in to match the side seams. And it's going to give it a little, you know, a little bow out look where so your laptop can slide in there. I have my compartment tab done, and so that's going to get placed on as well. So let me check the measure. I'm gonna have to check the measurements for, because that's not, where does the compartment tab, am I putting this in the right place? On the right side, measure down from the right side, and center across. So did I do that? 2.5, right? 2.5? 2.5. Yeah, 2.5. Okay. And this should be, oh, I see. I see. Because I'm not using the Velcro, I should have brought my snap down. I should have brought my snap down further. That's what I should have done. Oh, okay. Because the snap closure goes at 1.25 inch. I should have checked that first. Okay. But no, it's okay. We're going to fix this here. So really, my snap should have been down there and not up here. So you know how we're going to fix that, Jasmine? We're just going to add another snap.
Yay.
It's as simple as a snap. Okay, so if you don't want 2 snaps, then make sure you check the placement first. So that's okay. I'm going to press here and mark where I'm going to put my, so I'm just going to have 2 snaps. Going to be double secure. So I'm going to mark there, and then I'm going to mark here where my other snap is going to go. So, hey, you know what? You have to just adjust, right? You know, it's so much easier when I'm just sewing along on my own. When you're trying to remember everything you need to remember for a video, it just, okay. So that's about where I want it right there. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm going to come back with all the snaps in place, and then we're going to sew this on. So I'll be right back. All right, so this was my remedy, was to put another snap. And I don't think it looks too bad. So I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, so let me unsnap this for a second. So again, we're going to line that up and center it. And then we're going to clip this in place. Okay, so first I'm just going to hold this in place over here. And then I'm going to bring this in. Bring this in here. And we're just matching it up to the sides. The laptop sleeve, it does not get closed at the bottom. It's going to stay open. So we're just going to baste down these sides. Okay. And then this, make sure we stay centered there. And then now we're going to do this side. Okay. And you see how it kind of bows out like that. So you have that room for your laptop there. So we're just going to sew down these sides or baste them down. The other side. Oops. Let go of my thread. Got a little tangle there. So let me start over. Don't want that bunching up under there. Alright. Okay. And now we're going to baste our compartment tab. We're going to baste that on at 1/8 of an inch right across this top here. Okay. All right. And then that's what our laptop sleeve is looking like. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So, all right. Let me straighten up some of this and grab our next pieces for the next steps. I'll be right back. Get some of this mess moved out the way. Now we're going to take our top lining band pieces. So you should have 2 of those. And on the back, you're going to mark a line 1 inch down from the top. And on one of them, you're going to mark your placement for the other half of your magnetic snaps. So I've done that. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and put those snaps on. So I have my snaps. I have some Peltex and the washers. And then I'm going to put a piece of duct tape on the back, and then we'll get ready to start getting all this assembled to our lining. So let me just grab this, push those down. So this is the the side that our flap will attach to. Just cover that up. Yeah. And there. Okay. So now once we have that done, now we're going to grab our flap. So I've marked the midpoint on the straight edge of the flap here. And then we're going to grab the lining. And on the side with the laptop sleeve, we're going to put our flap. Make sure that the side with the magnetic snaps is facing up. And we're going to base that in place with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So just center that. Okay, so I'm going to get that basted on. Look this up. Okay. So now once we have our flap on, we're going to take our top lining without the snaps. And we're going, so make sure that you're placing right sides up on top of your lining. The end with the 1 inch line here should be towards the bottom. Because this, when it gets turned up, that's going to be the top. So make sure you have this part up against the lining here. And get that clipped on. And we're going to sew this on with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Move my glasses out of the way. Okay. And so now we're going to flip this up, all of this, and we're going to top stitch through the lining. Make sure that the seam allowance is going down towards the lining. Okay, so that side is done. Now we'll flip this side around. So the side with the zipper pocket will get the other band, the one with the snaps. And again, you want it flipped this way. So the wider part here on the side of the line will be towards the top. And then this part will be toward the bottom, okay? And again, we're going to sew it at 3/8 of an inch. Pull the seam allowance toward the lining and top stitch through the lining. Okay, so we have that part of our lining done. Okay, so now we need to grab our side panels, our lining side panels. Should have 2 of those. So I'm just going to move this for a second. And at the top, so at this top edge, on the right side, on the wrong side, we're going to mark a 1-inch line. So just like that, 1 inch. And then we can place some double-sided tape right above that line there. And then we're going to fold this raw edge down to meet that line. Okay, so just like that. Okay, so once you have that done and you have no raw edges at the top, then now we're going to sew the darts just like we did on the exterior. So we're going to fold the dart together or bring it together just like that. And we're going to sew across there at 1/2 inch. And on the lining, I'm not too concerned about the red thread here, so I'm just going to go ahead. Keep my red thread. So we've sewn across like that, and then we're going to do the same thing. So right sides together, bringing that together like that, and we just sew across. And then we're just going to trim that seam allowance down by about half, so to about 1/4 inch. Just like that. Okay. So we have that one. Now we're going to do the other. And then the last. And we'll just trim that down. So now we're going to bring those seams together. So just match it up so that we can mark the center marks right there at the bottom. So we just need to just clip the midpoint. So now we have the midpoint mark there. And we'll do the same thing for this one. Give it a little snip. Okay, so now we have the midpoints marked there. We're going to get our lining back. And we're going to bring these, so we're matching up the top of the top lining band, and then we're getting the midpoint down here at the bottom here. And the same on this side. So match up the tops of the top lining band there. And then we'll get the midpoint down here at the bottom. Okay. So before we sew our side panels on, we need to fold our raw edges down on the top lining band. So you could use glue or you could use double-sided tape. Excuse me. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. I don't feel like smelling the glue. Jazzy doesn't want to smell any more glue either. So we're just going to, so I'm just putting a piece, I'm just using a 1/2 inch with double-sided tape. A 1/4 inch would do too. But I'm just putting a piece of double-sided tape and I'm going to fold the raw edges down to meet the line. And just fold that down right to the line. Smooth that out. So now it should look like that. And we'll flip it over and we'll do the other side too. Okay, so now that that's done, now we can start sewing our side panels on. So grab one of your side panels and we're going to match up these midpoints. So we have our midpoints here and we're going to be, right sides together. So right sides together. And I'll just use these clips. It's a little bit lighter, so I'm going to use these clips here. And we'll just start clipping it together. And we're going to sew it at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. First, I'll clip the middle here. And just like we did with the exterior. So I'm going to bring the top up here and match it up. Match up the folded edges here at the top. So my side panel is folded down and then the top lining panel is folded down. We're going to match that up. We're going to clip that. And then just start clipping down the side. I save the curve for last. Make sure everything's matching up. And if I have to ease in anything, I'll do it at the curve. Okay, so I'll do that. Once I get that mostly done, then I'll bring it around to the other side and match up these folded edges. And then I'll just continue. You can open up your dart if you want, but for the lining, I think I'm just going to push my dart to one side. So I'm just going to push it over to one side there. since it's not as thick as the exterior, then it's okay to just kind of push it to one side instead of opening up the seam. Okay. And so it looks like that. I just fold it over. And if you're going to go to the outside or the inside, it doesn't matter. But just be consistent. So on the other side, I'm going to push my seam over to the outside. Okay. And it fits just right. Which is a good thing. Okay. So now we have our side panel all clipped on. Now we can go ahead and we can sew that on at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So with the side panel up, making sure that nothing's in the way here. Everything's nice and smooth. Gonna start at the top and work our way around. You just push it over and keep it nice and flat as you go around the curve. Okay, so now I have my side panel on one side. Now we're just going to trim the seam allowance down to a 1/4 inch. I'm not, right here at the top, I'm not going to trim it down too much. Well, maybe a 1/4. Yeah, it's okay because I don't want that too much there. But we just want to make sure that we leave enough to open up the seam at the top. So when we get ready to drop this in. So I'm just going to trim it down to a 1/4 inch. Okay. So now we have our seam allowance trimmed down. And it looks good on the inside. Everything looks good. So now I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get the other side sewn on. And then we'll be ready to start putting the lining and the exterior together. Alrighty, so I have the other side panel all sewn on and trimmed down. So now we're ready to drop our lining in. So whichever side you choose to be the front of your bag. I didn't put a label on mine, but I think I'm choosing this side to be the front. So that's, you want to put the flap to the back. So I know this is such, it's really a large bag, and I hope you can see. But I'm going to go ahead and drop it in. So I'm putting the flap to the back and just making sure that everything sits nicely. Okay, I'm going to try my best for you to see me how. So I'm just going to clip it. So I'm going to start over in these corners, and I'm going to open up the seam allowance. And I'm going to match up the corners here. And so I may just get this clipped and then come back. So, because it's so hard for you to see what I'm doing here. So I'm just, like I said, I'm just opening up the seams on this and then matching it up here at the top first to get it lined up. Okay, I'm just getting these corners done. This is going to be a monstrous bag to top stitch. Okay, just trying to hold on to it while I clip. This is crazy, but it's so nice here. Okay, so now that I have the four corners, let's tuck that in. So the four corners clipped. Then I can tell it's fitting nicely, and I could go ahead and I could clip the rest and then get it top stitched. So let's just continue to clip. So we're just clipping, making sure everything's smooth. So I'll do the side panels. If I need to adjust, I will adjust. Like over here, I might need to adjust that just a little bit. I don't think I have it straight enough there. Okay. All right. And then I'm pushing the corners, these corners of the exterior to the towards the side panel. I'm just going to put clips here. So, just making sure that it's nice and smooth and not buckling. So that side is done. So again, these little points here on the exterior, they're going towards the side panel. that was just the way I chose to do it. You might want to have yours going, but I think they look more natural going towards the side panel. Just making sure that I don't have any buckling here. Okay, so now that that's all clipped, so now I'm ready to top stitch. I'm going to change to a fresh bobbin. Just in case. My needle was fairly new. I had just put it in the other day. I think that's okay. I think my tension should be okay. And so now we're going to just give it a go. I'm going to leave some long tails. Remove some of this stuff because this is a big bag. And so we need to go. So I'm going to go start over here. I'm starting toward the back, on the back. So I'm just going to get in there. We're going to get this top stitched. 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to leave long tails to start. And here we go. And I'm going to tell you how this red thread is making me ever so nervous. But we're going to continue with it. Okay. And I really have to work this bag. I know it's going to pop up in the way. I'm going to try my best to keep it pushed down and out of the way. Okay. Best of my ability. Okay. Over. Remember, I do have stabilizer in here too. So Jazzy will do her best to help you see. But this bag is pretty big. So flip it, turn it, and I try to push it down out of the way. And I'm using these pliers to keep everything straight and underneath. Woo! Okay, there we go. Just tucking in those little corners there. Hoping it looks okay. Once I start getting to the sides, I have to start rolling it again. Almost done. Almost getting there. And I really do hope it looks okay. Okay, we're getting back to where we started. I'm just pulling the thread to the back here, and I'm going to get ready to reach the end here. Drop it right where I started there. Okay, there we go. Ooh, yay. Let's hope it looks okay. Pull this thread to the back, or to actually to the outside. Okay. And then we'll take a look around and see how it looks. Well, that side looks okay. And I think this side looks okay as well. Got a little blue there. Okay, well, I'm not too upset with that. Not too upset at all with that, okay. And the sides, we'll get those sides shaped up. Shape there. Just like that. And then we have our flap. The flap gets curled over like that. And let me snap it so you can see what it's looking like when it's closed. So that's what it's going to look like when it's closed. Okay, well, I like that. I really do. So, okay. So there's one last thing we have to do. There are these little corners. Okay, so these here. Oh, well, I do have to feed my threads in too, so I'm going to do that. But before I do that, so these pieces here, these are going to go on these little corners like that. Okay, so now I don't think the pattern says to double up on. What I did was I cut 4 out, and then I laid them on the vinyl, so wrong sides together. So I cut another piece of vinyl, and I glued them to another piece of vinyl so that I would have double-sided. It just made it a little more substantial than just a single piece of vinyl. Okay, and so now we're going to get ready to put those on these corners here. And I like that little detail, and it's going to get riveted on. So on the pattern piece, there's marks for your rivet placement. Okay, so I believe the measurements is so 3/4 inches down from the top and 1/4 inch in from the side. Is that, I believe that's the measurement for the placement, or vice versa. I'll look at it and make sure. But we're gonna get those on. I have to punch the holes for the rivets, and I'm going to thread my tails, my thread tails into to the seam. I'm going to pull them up right through the seam here and tie it off. And then the only thing left to do is just to do the handles, and this bag is done. So I will return after I get this done and get my holes punched, and we'll get these corners on. So I'll be back. Okie dokie. So I have already done one of the handles. I just need to do the other. I have the center mark. I have double-sided tape on there, and then I put a strip of Decaville Light just for I have one done. I just need to do the other. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the backing from the double-sided tape and fold these ends over to meet the line. And then we're just going to top stitch all around at 1/8 of an inch. And then we'll put those on. Now, if you have some strap ends, you can put strap ends on. I haven't pulled mine out because it wasn't in the hardware material, list of hardware, because it's optional. So I'm just mentioning it because I probably will eventually put some strap ends on. So if you like that kind of thing. So I'm just folding it. I folded it over. I folded the ends to the middle. Excuse me. And now I'm going to fold it one more time to enclose those raw ends. And then we're going to top stitch all around. I feel like I'm losing my voice a little bit. It sounds a little... a little dry. It's so windy here. And so it's kicking up my allergies. Whew, I had to take a pause and get some water. Because like I said, these winds we're having, they have really been kicking up our allergies around here. So it's just giving me a little tickle in my throat. We're just top stitching. These desert winds are just, ugh. Okay, let's go around. Trying to keep it real straight with this red. Okay, we made it around. Now we can get it onto our bag. Our Laura bag is just about done. Okay, so there are our straps. So let's bring our Laura bag up here. This is the back, so this is the front. And we'll get, so I'm just going to feed the handle up through, let me mark. I like to make sure I do it pretty evenly. So I just make a mark at 2 inches from the end. 2 inches here. So 2 inches, and I'm going to fold the end to that. Do I want to do, no, not 2 inches. I want to fold it at 2 inches or 1.5 inches. Let's do 1.5 inches. So actually I'm going to mark it at 3 inches. That's what I usually do. 3 inches, not 2 inches. Okay. Because I want to leave some room too for if I decide to put some strap ends on there too. Okay. So I'm just going to fold it to that 3-inch mark there. Yeah, that's good. I'll just put a little clip for right now because I'm going to rivet these on. And then make sure you don't twist your strap. And then we're going to come around. And then bring this end over to that mark. And put a clip there. Okay, yeah. And then I'm just going to add a rivet. And then I'll mark this one. You can carry this to work, to church. Okay, look at that. That looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to just mark the placement for my rivets. So I don't want to put them up too high because, like I said, I think I'm going to add some strap ends there. So I just like to go about 3/8 of an inch from the fold. Which would be about right there. So about right there. And then the same over here, 3/8 and right there. Okay. So that's where I'm going to put my rivets. So I'm going to punch the holes for the rivets, come back, and we'll see what it's all looking like when it's done. I'll show you how a laptop fits in there, and then that is it. We are finished, and it is amazing. So once again, I will be right back. All right, so our Laura bag is now done. All right, so I have the handles on. Everything is looking good. I'm so excited for this bag. So I just want to show you really quickly that it will fit a 13-inch laptop. So I have the laptop sleeve open. So I'm just going to drop this laptop in there in the sleeve. I know it's really hard to see. And then close. I'm just going to close this tab. And then hopefully you can see. Hopefully you'll be able to see that it's in there and secure. Okay, so, and there's still so much room for, folders. You can, put, your notebooks in there, whatever you need to carry. And you have your zipper pocket, and You have a slip pocket, a divided slip pocket, so plenty of room. So there you have it. The Laura bag by Mekaposh. Just like usual, the pattern link will be in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. I appreciate you sewing with me again today at Sewful Creations. You guys have a good one now.